Hello there, my darling ones, and thank you for being with me on this cold and blustery evening. How are you enjoying your November? Have you started your Christmas countdown yet? Or do you prefer to leave things to the last minute? Apanth and I have been working on Christmas poems to give as gifts while gradually cleaning the house, ready for any friends and family who may come to stay in December. I was sorting through my office a few days ago when I came across something that absolutely delighted me. As it turns out, the story we have been enjoying for the past 2 weeks, Feeding the Ghosts, has a hidden third part. A part that I was able to translate in time to share it with you today. The previous 2 parts of the story are available on the channel. If you haven't seen them yet, I suggest that you save this video and search for Feeding the Ghosts. Once you have caught up, you can rejoin the rest of us to enjoy this third, unexpected segment. So dim the lights, light your apple-spiced candles, gather up hot drinks and spiced cakes, and get ready to discover what happens when humans try to escape the claws of fairy vengeance in Part 3 of Feeding the Ghosts. Part 3. Chapter 12. My 18th birthday was a strange one. Not that my previous ones had exactly been a blast. Although I had broken no rules in escaping the old village on my 13th Halloween, the universe, and Oakville specifically, seemed to resent my continued existence. The day after my 13th Halloween was a school day, and I limped into class bruised, but excited to share the events of the previous night with my friends. For as long as I could remember, there had been the 8 of us, all born within 6 months of each other, and as close, in my mind at least, as siblings. When I got to school, they were in the usual place, standing under the old yew tree in the school parking lot. But when I hurried to them and started talking, they looked at me with a sort of blankness. Not the studied indifference reserved by popular kids for those considered to be outside of their social sphere, but deeper, more genuine, as if they didn't know me and couldn't comprehend why I might be looking at them. I stood with them until the bell rang, and we all split up for class. They allowed it, but again with a certain unease that made me feel like an intruder. In English class, I took my usual seat next to my best friend Mia, and she moved tables. I was hurt and angry, but I endured a week of the treatment before confronting them. When I demanded to know why such close friends would mistreat me, so Mia shrugged. "Sorry, Johnny. You just don't feel like one of us anymore." It was subtle at first, but from the next lonely day in school, I began to notice something about Oakville that I had never seen before. It was only glimpses to start with. I would be talking to Mr. Rain at the corner shop, and just for an instant, as he turned his head, I would see a long hooked nose, sharp, dark eyes, and terrible sharp teeth. Just the same with Mr. Bleat the butcher, who at times would metamorphose into a horrible, pig-snouted monstrosity, with nostrils that bubbled with snot. The changes never lasted. Before I could even draw breath to scream, the people I had grown up around were restored to their usual shape. Still, the more often I saw the disturbing visions, the stronger the sense grew that Oakville and the old village were not separate entities, if in fact they ever had been. It made sense to my literal teenage mind, more so to my ageless soul, that by centuries of crawling and silent acquiescence and assent to the torment of their children, the residents of Oakville had lost their innocence. Worse, they had taken on a touch of the taint that made the old village so terrible. Simply put, I realized that my hometown was poisoned. In August of the following year, I carefully printed and distributed an anonymous pamphlet listing all the precautions that had allowed me to survive my run in the old village. In September, I received a black-edged letter on fine cardstock. It listed no sender, nor a return address, and contained only one sentence: "Those who pry are wont to die." That was when I knew that, with every Halloween that passed, the people of Oakville took a step closer to becoming the same as the hungry fae who fed on them. If nothing changed, then one day, perhaps soon, the town would join with the village, it loathed in one endless screaming hell. Lily was livid. She was all for ignoring the threat and continuing to distribute the leaflets. Though it broke my heart, I had to deny her. It did not do to be on the radar of the old village. Still, I was hard-pressed not to glare at every neighbor we encountered on the road. I retrained myself, because we had no choice but to keep on interacting with Oakville. That said, the town did not make it easy. The odd neglect that had begun with my friend group continued and intensified. After the Halloween of the black-edged card, it spread to the rest of the students, then even to the faculty. The corner store stopped delivering. Not for others, just for us. The mechanic's prices doubled. Our sink clogged and the plumber would not come. The doctor was mysteriously fully booked when needed. All cuts so slight and thin that they might be dismissed as non-existent, but so bitter that they might have been soaked in lemon juice. At school, I received detention for spurious reasons, then for no reason at all. The headmaster led a campaign to bring back caning. For my benefit, of course. Thank goodness that attempt at cruelty failed. I slogged on, unwilling to jeopardize an education I might need for a life beyond Oakville. But at 15, I stopped receiving grades altogether. I was not invited to my own graduation. It is a small miracle that I ever received my diploma. Had I been born somewhere else, I would have applied to college, but no one in Oakville ever left to study. Instead, I spent my free time working out, running and climbing, focusing on skills that might help Lily and me in our attempt at escape. Lily appealed for divine assistance. Even as I worked down our list of tasks, my once laughing, slightly irreverent mother prayed. Sometimes I caught her weeping. "It doesn't matter," she said when I asked, or, "I'll tell you another time." I think she was remembering my father, Nicholas. He had disappeared on the Christmas Eve, before I was born. Part of her must have thought that escape would mean leaving him behind. Chapter 13. Lily and I had been careful about our preparations. Of course, I covered each activity with reasonable excuses, most of which were never spoken. I was clearing ground for a neighbor, fixing up a tree house for a neighbor's kids, building shelves to hold paint cans in the basement. All perfectly reasonable actions for a young man of my age. Still, we worried. In Oakville, even thinking about escape was a death sentence. We liked to believe that our close neighbors would not inform on us, but even in April, people have been known to vanish overnight for crimes as small as buying too much rock salt. We had an internet of sorts in Oakville, but none of the usual delivery systems worked. Amazon, eBay, that kind of thing. You can order an item and even pay for it, but it will never arrive. So, the things we needed, salt, iron, and silver, had to be found around the town. The silver I passed off as an experiment in electroplating jewelry. I filled 2 large tubs, with silver flakes. The salt was to be used on our drive, come winter, and to defend my garden against slugs. Iron had to be stolen from the town junkyard, a dangerous expedition that seemed more perilous every time I accomplished it. Accomplish it I did, however, and by October 28th of the year that I would turn 18, everything was in readiness. Chapter 14. On the night of my 18th birthday, I didn't drink. I didn't party. I didn't head out with a group of friends in search of girls. I couldn't even safely order a pizza. Not anymore. So Lily made one herself. Chicken breast and mozzarella, with lashings of garlic. I tried not to let Lily know that I was tired, or lonely, or bored. I certainly couldn't tell her that my mind was fixed on the next morning, wondering if it would be my last. So I pretended to be cheerful, laughing and joking with her, toasting her with the single non-alcohol beer I'd allowed myself. My gift from Lily, goodness knows where she had sourced it, was a silver cross necklace. It was simple but beautiful, and on its back, she had engraved the word liberté, freedom in Latin. The inscription was perfect. Freedom from the place was the one gift we both wished for each other. We went to bed early that night. Alarms set. When they sounded at 1 a.m, we were both already awake. We dressed and ate in silence, our eyes flicking out to the blind-covered windows, wondering if each moment would be the one when we would hear the scrape of claws over concrete that announced our deaths. By the close of breakfast, we had not been arrested, so we donned our coats, lifted our bags, hugged each other tightly, and walked out into the bitter October night. Chapter 15. The car was parked a few blocks away from our house, in a muddy siding, hidden behind a screen of deadfall and winter branches. The adapted four-wheel drive was a triumph of rule-breaking, its iron body covered with engraved cruciforms, wheels, body, and even windshield wipers, shielded in glued down flakes of purest silver. Most dangerous to the spectral residents of the old village, and therefore most illegal in Oakville, was the fact that every nut, joist, and wheel bed had been brushed with holy oil. If that had been discovered, we would have been dead before we could try to run. As it was, the escape, as Lily had dubbed her, was ready and waiting for us. We had items stored in the back: clothes, blankets, food, and water. For who knew how long our journey, once begun, might last? We had debated whether or not we should bring weapons, but decided that nothing we could carry would be sufficient to save us if the residents of the old village got us cornered. I tried not to think of the pistol in my pocket, 2 bullets ready and waiting in its chamber. Even carrying it felt like a betrayal. Chapter 16. Our bid for liberty started deceptively easily. We climbed into the car, locked the doors, and fastened our seatbelts. I took the wheel with such solemnity that I might have laid my hands on the tiller of a failing boat in a storm, knowing that I was its only hope of survival. Lily, sitting huddled in the passenger seat next to me, looked at me with the same hope. It occurred to me that our positions had changed at some point. Now, she, who had always been my fiercest aid and protector, looked to me for strength and comfort. When I started the escape, I half expected sirens to blare and people to appear around us. Instead, there was only the low, determined rumble of the engine. As we pulled out onto the road, I couldn't help glancing around at the Halloween decorations surrounding the houses of neighbors who no longer acted like neighbors. We had decorated too, of course. There was no easier way to stand out as a target than to not decorate in Oakville. The Halloween lights had always struck me as cheerful, but tonight they looked false, almost sinister. I was not surprised to see no one on the streets. As we pulled out onto the county road, I noticed that the houses here stood farther and farther apart. What looked like vacant lots, choked with rubbish and nettles, lay in between. Then we came to the ruins. They were burned, blackened, pulverized, as though all of the forces of nature had been unleashed against them. Just after we passed the last destroyed house, the vines appeared, crawling down the wooded slopes around the road. They slithered onto the tarmac, at first creeping, then writhing until they were trying the doors themselves. Fortunately, the escape held firm. Still, the further on we got, the stranger we felt. At first, there was the cold, a bitter, biting chill that swarmed through our veins and crinkled the tips of our fingers with frostbite. Then there was the change in the light, as if all the pigment was being leached out of the world. The landscape around us became sharp-edged, in some ways fragile, in others dangerous, as wickedly sharp as a razor's edge. I tried not to see it, not to feel the new danger of a world that seemed ever closer to shattering beneath us. Soon, it was as though we drove through a half-world, not quite alive, not quite dead. I was more afraid than ever. Chapter 17. The full pursuit began less than a mile from the town proper. At first, we only sensed it. Then there were glimpses, a flicker of movement here, an adventurous shadow there. Nothing to fix one's eye upon, especially when driving. Soon, too soon, the pursuers began to take firmer shape. Pale, blind eyes blinked at us. Shrieks and chitters exploded over our heads, dropping from the skeletal branches of the not-quite trees. In less than a breath, the percussion of footsteps shook the world around us, rising up through the wheels of the truck, into the body of the car, and thence into our teeth. Then the new figures appeared. It happened at the moment the blacktop ended, and the road dissolved into dirt and jagged stone. I blessed God for Lily's observation, some 24 months past, that we had better buy Mr. Cobber's old four-wheel drive, now that he and his grandchildren had vanished. Seconds later, my gratitude was replaced by dismay when faces once thought familiar materialized around us. I had been more right than I knew when I surmised that Oakville had been infected by its terrible neighbor. My previous glimpses, caught in town, were now alive around us. There was Mr. Bleat, the butcher, no longer feigning humanity. Now a terrible, squealing beast, covered with gore, half-masticated dead piglets hanging from his mouth. I even saw, to my heart-cracking dismay, the limping form of my first-grade teacher, the gentle Mrs. Firth, for one moment as she had appeared to me in my childhood, and then, in the next, as a screaming hag, with twisted fingers who shrieked her joy. As she pursued us, it struck me that those figures in our lives had never been human. Instead, they had been plants, their friendly faces a mask for the fact that they watched Oakville for signs of rebellion and escape. I wanted to laugh, to cry, to scream. Instead, I bit my lip clean through and forced the twisting, shaking vehicle around us into another burst of motion. The rest of my life in Oakville might have been a falsehood, but Lily and I were not. Lily had given me life. I would give her a chance at a real existence, if it cost me my final breath. Chapter 18. When we saw the collapsed bridge at the edge of town and the swirling mist beyond it, our hearts shattered as one. The race had continued for what seemed like forever, with the creatures of old drawing nearer, and our vehicle, its blessed oils caked in dirt, fighting my stewardship more with every meter we passed. Then, when the monstrous beings had begun, ever so slightly, to hang back, hope had kindled. Hope that we were reaching the edge of their influence, that beyond this there was something better, purer. Then came the bridge, which ended halfway, torn planks and shattered wood, beyond which there was nothing, only endless emptiness. Here was where our escape ended, either on the road surrounded by the ferries, or in the empty abyss beyond it. Lily and I glanced at each other, our secret works of the past years hanging between us in the frosty air. For a moment, we wilted. Then strength returned. It had been agreed between us. We had shaken hands on it. Whatever happened, we would not be returning to Oakville. We would have freedom, or we would have death. At Lily's nod, I pressed the accelerator, the car lurching forward away from the many teeth and claws that attempted to hold it back. I felt her arm on my shoulder, her firm little hand tightening in a silent farewell. I screamed at the coward's voice of survival, telling me to stop moving and accept my punishment at the hands of the Fae. Then we were plunging over the edge of the bridge, and everything was empty air and light. Chapter 19. We sat down in the world, with a crash, and a smack that knocked the wind out of each of us, and cracked my teeth together. So hard, I was fortunate they did not break. I did not have long to mourn my discomfort for. Almost instantly, a great ironwood tree reared up before us. I jerked the wheel to one side, simultaneously jamming my foot down on the brake. The resulting bunny hop performed by the gouged and shattered vehicle was nothing less than a miracle, for it removed us from the path of danger and deposited us neatly on the side of the road, facing outwards. The first time I glanced at the real world, I had to cover my eyes. The intensity of it, the shapes and the colors, was too much for my eyes to handle. The second time, I laughed with delight. I had been right all along. Oakville had been nothing more than a shadow. Everything about this place, the quality of the light, the leaf-crisp sharpness of the autumn air, the scent of pine and sycamore, all of it was more real than anything I had ever known. I closed my eyes against the brightness. Lily did the same, but her soft sobs were of relief, not of pain. It was a good 5 minutes before I could look at the real world without it hurting. It came to me at last that Oakville had never entirely survived its first confrontation with the fairies of the old village. Somehow, they had carved it out, taken it away from the world, allowing the humans there to live like free-range cattle, with the illusion of liberty, but nonetheless destined for the slaughter. Those who had refused their calves, their children. For the annual cull had not just disappeared, they had been devoured, as rebellious breeders always were. The burned homes on the outskirts of Oakville suggested that, at one point, there had been many of them. For 18 years, I had lived in a pretense of a world. Now, finally, I was home. I was wiping tears from my eyes when Lily tugged on my sleeve and pointed. Someone was standing on the road, waving at us, a man in blue jeans and a leather jacket. A man with a red beard, just like the one that bloomed on my face whenever I forgot to shave. It was Lily who recognized him. Nicholas. It was a sound of pure joy, so intense that it almost hurt to hear. My eyes widened. "Mum, is that?" Lily nodded. I hugged her, then stepped out onto the road to meet my father. Subscribe to become a delicious darling. I definitely didn't see that coming. I am delighted for Johnny and his mother, however. They definitely deserve their freedom after fighting so hard for it. As for the man on the road, is he really Johnny's father? I don't know, but wouldn't it be wonderful if he was? As for the other residents of Oakville, isn't it frightening to know that they do not realize they're not part of the world at all, but simply in a holding pen, waiting to be devoured? It's enough to give me the shivers. Today's word for the comments is trapped. Type it, then tell me which place in the world you would least like to be trapped in. If you would like to protect Appenth and me from evil fairies, please hit like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell for much more deliciously scary content. Not just that, but you will become an official delicious darling and part of our spooky kooky family. I am going to spend the next week making this year's Christmas cards. Until I see you next time, be sure to wrap up warm. Watch out for people who are not what they seem. And always tell your scary stories by flickering firelight. And sleep well, my delicious darlings.